Hi everybody, good morning. Hope everybody's well. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes because I can see the clock is still climbing, so there are people still joining us. So I'm just going to give them a couple of minutes, and then we'll kick off. Okay then. So good morning everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Hopefully it's sunny where you are. We're starting to see a little bit of sun here, so hopefully a good day all round. So today we're going to look at the mobile workforce, obviously something that is no longer alien to anybody on this call, no doubt, but certainly probably nowhere in the world, I would imagine. And how actually by using DocuWare we can provide the ability to search in a way that maybe has never been done before in traditional file shares. So I'm for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Andy from DocuWare, and I'm going to be taking you through. So I look after the north of the UK, and I really apologise. My slideshow seems to have stopped working. Okay, there we go. Apologies for that, everybody. I don't know what happened there. There we go. So from a point of view of who am I? So I'm Andy. I look after the north of the UK. I'm one of our regional sales directors. So some of you maybe will know me. Others, hopefully, I'll get to meet at some point soon. Let's start working again. Okay, apologies. It seems that this isn't going to allow me to do things in the traditional way, so I will use this instead. So okay, so today's agenda, what we're going to do is we're going to cover off some of the main challenges that we're starting to see within workplaces, and some of the things that customers are starting to say to us, how that was different as times have moved on, and how the mobile workforce has become a little bit more predominant. So today should last for no more than around 30 minutes, and then we'll have some questions as well. So feel free to throw some questions out there. I will try and address those at the end. So business challenges. Well, we've seen business challenges change quite dramatically over the past, let's say 2 months now, I guess. But certainly, I think this is something that has been coming maybe for quite some years, and maybe all of a sudden we have this this time where it's forced things to speed up. Okay, that's absolutely fine. We can jump onto that. But how have things changed, and what has been the things that have been critical and really kind of showing out there? So the first thing I suppose was we're all forced to work away from the office. And this posed a few questions. The first one, thankfully, that most people jumped to was staff welfare. How are our people? Are they safe? Are they well? if someone is ill, who is ill, and how do we make sure that those people are able to become well again without any kind of disruption. And also then we started to look at, okay, we got meetings booked in with clients, with proposed customers. How do we make sure that they're able to continue without the ability to be able to travel to their sites, be able to actually get round? And I think the adoption of things like Teams and GoToWebinar and so on and so forth has been absolutely paramount. And I don't know about any of you guys, but certainly for me, Teams has almost become my best friend. It's almost like I live within the Teams environment at the moment. So really powerful as a way of working. Then we had businesses starting to talk about HR policies and how do we actually make sure that people are able to continue working and stick to our procedures and policies while they're out and about. Obviously, furlough was a massive element there. So being able to make sure that they're doing things in the correct way and the correct manner, and staff are able to sign things and adopt things and input data in the way that they should do to make sure that that we're sticking to all the rules for furlough and so on and so forth as well. But all these things you can imagine are putting a massive strain on the IT resource. So suddenly, just having the ability to go in the office and complete our work is not as simple as that may sound. So that's one of the big things, and the biggest element for me was that IT resource. Video conferencing, of course, I've mentioned with the likes of Teams, but suddenly actually that ability to take information whilst we're not able to meet has been massively important, and massively important that we get round that. So how do we do that? And then the strategy looking forward. Well, of course, we suddenly need access to all these packages and these posts and things that we've actually never had to think about before. I've always just been able to go to the office, turn on my computer, and click on the icon, and I'm in the package. Now, suddenly my computer's in the office, I'm at home. I still need to access this information. This information is vital to both me being able to do my job, but also for the business to be able to actually work and actually function. So massively important, and a real big problem that people found straight away. So remote working remotely, access has been massively restricted, and I think that brings us straight away to thinking about, well, what programs do we have that actually are causing this issue, and actually what do we need to access and who needs to access it? And these are all questions that not just your customers, but I'm sure for yourselves, every single one of you will have been thinking through in some way, shape or form, or some format. So obviously very important to make sure we address those and get to the bottom of them. But of course that starts to break down. So what do we use? Well, of course we've got our Microsoft systems, of course we've got our emails and Word and Excel and all those other wonderful things. Office docs that are stored somewhere. So well, where are they stored? Very often you speak to some people within businesses, and actually the answer to that question is, well, while I'm working on them, they're on a piece of paper sat on my desk. Once I've done something with them, then yeah, I'll scan them in. But where are they stored initially? On my desk is very often the answer. And as we all know, that's not necessarily the way forward from a remote worker. There's things that need to be signed, there's orders that need to be processed, and everything again has to stick to these policies and procedures that the business has gone ahead and put in place for us. Really important, because these are the things that keep us compliant with not just legislation, but also audit trails and business process and our own standards towards our customers as well. So we certainly need support. How do we access these? How do we process these? How do we work with these documents in the way that means we can carry on working? Now, for some of you who speak to me quite regularly, I guess, the one thing that I've heard more probably than any other phrase over the last 2 months has been VPN. They're the 3 letters that I've absolutely heard more than anything else. And that's because for lots of companies, their initial thought has been, well, we have a VPN. People can just access the office. It's absolutely fine. We'll just get our IT guys just to give them a call, remote, set up a VPN connection, and people can carry on. Well, the thing that hasn't been necessarily put into practice and thought through is the fact that that VPN was installed maybe for half a dozen people. Suddenly we have the whole workforce working through this VPN, and maybe it needs a different requirement if that's what's going to happen. So, of course, what happens is we're able to get into the server, we're able to go to the file shares that people have had there for years and are using, but then we click on the file and we wait and we watch the little green bars going up through the search boxes, or maybe it's the spinny wheels as things are open. And then eventually that file opens, and then we click on the next one and we wait and we wait. And then we get in there, and then suddenly we then find the document that I needed actually isn't in there anyway. So somebody who has processed that document and saved it has actually even saved it in a different place. And that could be down to the fact that it's a mistake and someone's made an error when they filed it away. It could be down to the fact that they have their own filing structure and they don't follow the business network in the way that they should. Actually, it could be down to the fact that they just haven't done it yet. So in reality, we needed that information. We've gone through the painful process of slow VPNs and accessing this information, but actually we weren't able to do anything with it anyway. So quite a hard thing there. So initially, what was the first thought for a lot of people? Well, okay, we need to maybe update some of the IT technology. Okay, maybe that's an option. In which case, some companies may well go ahead and look at that to move forward with. However, the next sort of option, and the one that maybe is around quite a lot, is the sync and share. So actually, for lots and lots of people, they look at this and they say, right, okay, we have Office 365 that gives us access to things like OneDrive, or maybe Google Docs, maybe people have Google Drive and things like that. So what they did is they picked everything up and they just threw it into the system, and then they're able to look and say, okay, well, are we still able to find these things? Well, do you know what? OneDrive has a nice app. I'm able to use it. It's easy for me. It's nice and familiar. Okay, but now I can access things, and I've got a nice quick way of getting to them. But actually, we still haven't got over that problem that unless I know where this piece of information is, then actually I can't access it anyway, which is a massive issue, and we haven't addressed that. So where DocuWare really comes into its own by taking the old style OneDrives, Google Drives, VPNs, and all the other ways of looking at things, and suddenly making them a little bit better, taking you to the next level. Really, for lots and lots of businesses, this is what they've been doing since the 90s, since earlier than that maybe. But actually, we're looking forwards. This is the way of actually taking the old ways of doing things and really making it work for us, really making it something special. So how can DocuWare help there? How is it, or is this just a pipe dream that I'm talking through? Well, we're able to help by a few different ways. The first one is looking at the business challenges, looking at the way that people are already talking about the digital transformation, their digital journey. And actually, suddenly we're able to look at that and say, okay, let's accelerate that process, because now is the perfect opportunity. Now more than ever, people's eyes are open. People's mindsets are open to change. We're open to the idea that, maybe what we've always done isn't actually what we should do in the future. So for the first time, maybe ever for some people, they're open to that conversation. And that's a massive opportunity for you and all your kind of customers and prospects, that you have an opportunity to talk to these people. The next section is actually looking at how we level up. How do we take people into that remote access with the ability to actually do something with it? How do we actually get documents in? Well, suddenly maybe the problem is as simple as I haven't got a scanner. Okay, so that's fine. So what DocuWare have done is developed apps where actually we can use those apps to even get the documents, paper forms, into the system so that you can actually do something with them. And then finally, well, what are the limitations for what we're doing, and how have those limitations held us back? Quite a big question there, quite a big question, because we've always done what we've always done, and we've always got the results that we've always got. but are they good enough? And actually, are my systems and are my processes of how I'm doing things, is that what's holding me back? Potentially, I would argue the answer for some companies is yes, absolutely. And just by opening the mindset into thinking about, okay, well, how could DocuWare do something with this? Actually, maybe we remove the limitations that the businesses had, that they thought they were always going to have. Again, it's that mindset of thinking about what's different. So, excuse me, for the purpose of today, so I'm going to just jump into DocuWare, and for lots of you, this screen will be very familiar, and I'm going to focus in on today how we're searching for information. But just before I do that, I'm going to just think a little bit about how we bring that information in. And of course, we've got our desktop scanners. Of course, we've got our multifunctional devices. Of course, that we're scanning in pieces of paper, and people are very used to using those devices day in, day out. But actually, are there other ways that we could do this? Well, I think the answer is quite simply yes. So for anyone who uses DocuWare regularly, I've no doubt you already know about the integration with the Outlook clients and the Microsoft packages, so that actually suddenly as emails are coming in and documents are coming in via email, we can suddenly start inputting them. We've got our mobile app, so we've got two mobile apps. The first one is DocuWare Mobile. This one's very much focused on searching, and I'll come back to that one in a few moments. The second one is one called PaperScan, and our PaperScan is a free app from the App Store, but linked up to DocuWare actually means that we can scan documents directly from our mobile phones or our iPads straight into the DocuWare system. So much more powerful than maybe we've ever been able to do before. And as those documents are coming in, you'll notice on the left-hand side of my screen here, we have what we call our document trays. And these are there to replicate essentially the old in trays, out trays, processing trays that we all once upon a time would have had on our desk. And unfortunately, I am old enough to remember that. So this is where the documents will first enter DocuWare in many ways. And what I'm going to do is just scan in some documents to allow me to replicate that process. So here we go. We'll just scan some documents in from our scanner there, and you'll see in a second these documents that are coming through from the scanner, and they'll start to go through our little spinny wheel in a second. Now, what we're going through here is a process called OCR. Now, again, I'm not going to go all het up on particular phrases today, but the process of OCR really is about opening that document up so that A, we can read it properly from a technical point of view, but secondly, we can actually start to do something with the information or the metadata or the data that's actually on that piece of paper. Again, something that historically maybe wasn't even available or possible. But okay, so we'll start to see these documents coming into DocuWare, and you'll see this intelligent indexing going through there. So what is intelligent indexing? It's about actually starting to index these fields for you. So as the user, I suddenly haven't got to rely on what I call a document, because actually I'm starting to index the fields that are within that document. Now, again, if we try to do that manually, maybe that would take some time. But DocuWare's intelligent indexing engine really makes that simple, easy, and fast. So again, for anyone inputting documents, a must-have. So as we go through here, we'll just highlight these. I'm just going to quickly store these into the system. And you'll see that as we've gone through, we've pulled out this information, it's pre-populated these boxes, and we can go ahead and just store the information away. Again, very different document, but the same process has happened. And again, with that third one, exactly the same process. And the final one, the one that went orange, actually, this is one that is probably more important at this stage, because you'll notice actually some of those index fields aren't completed. And this may well be that this is just the very first time we've seen this document come into the system. So by way of artificial intelligence and machine learning, DocuWare is able to work with the human being to say, well, actually, can you just tell me, what do I do with this? And as you're telling me, I'll start to remember, so that next time this comes into the system, actually, I'll already know what to do with it. So we can go ahead and just key in that information as you always would have done, absolutely fine. However, what that does do is open me up to a couple of things. Firstly, it's taking up my time to be able to do that. And secondly, and probably more importantly, actually, it's allowing me to make mistakes. So it's opening me up to human error. So just by highlighting the information on the document, DocuWare allows you to try and make that as quick, as simple, but more importantly, as accurate as humanly possible. So again, we'll just go ahead and just store that information away. Now, for the purpose of today, I'm not going to actually do anything with those documents, but I want to start thinking about searching and how we search for information. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing this. And of course, we have our files. So for people within the company that say, well, actually, I just want to search a file, absolutely fine. We can see that there is a file section here. But again, maybe that's not good enough. People aren't necessarily thinking that way. Okay, no problem. If we go through our normal My Computer, this PC, you can see that I have a DocuWare element here. And just by clicking on that, it's as if we're using any other device. So again, we can start to click through these things and we'll actually come through to some actual files and folders. So again, if you've got people within your business who are still on that learning journey of starting to get comfortable with this sort of thing, we can start to go through a more than one way of skinning that cat, so to speak. However, for the purpose of today, I'm going to focus in on being able to search DocuWare the way we believe is the right way to search. And it probably gives you the most flexibility of anything, because it comes away from the idea of where something's stored and turns it into thinking about, well, what am I looking for? Because that makes more sense in my mind anyway, that actually I'm not really interested in where I have to look. I want the result of finding what I want to find, which is quite important. So we're able to literally just go through and start keying elements in, very similar to how you would in Google. For instance, if I type in the words BMW, actually I get an awful lot of stuff come back. If I type in BMW 5 Series, then that narrows down a little bit. If I type in white BMW 5 Series, suddenly I've got pretty accurately to what I want. And the same process or the same theory works here. So the more information I can give it, the better my search criteria would be. But actually, it might be as simple as just search for US Steel, which I know was one of those documents I stored a second ago. So we can go ahead and literally just run a quick search and we'll find the documents that relate to US Steel have been returned. Now, it could be actually, I can see, well, actually, there's something not here that I was expecting to see. This is not what I wanted. Well, actually, maybe we know it's something to do with this invoice. So just by being able to scroll out, I can start to look for related documents. And I can start to see, okay, well, I know it's got to do with that document, so I can search in another way to tell me that. But I haven't had to come back out and start redoing searches. Actually, there's a way within the system that I can just jump on that and run it quickly and easily without having to go to a file store, find out it's not there, search around for ages, make a few phone calls. It's dead easy, it's dead quick. Now, coming out of there, maybe actually I don't even know that's what it's about. Maybe I haven't even got that much information. I just know that Tom sent it me. So actually, maybe I'll just search for a document that Tom sent me. Maybe that's all the information I have. And for some of these documents, maybe a bit of a cheat there because the word Tom is in the title. What I'm going to do is just focus in on this particular document. And the reason I'm going to focus in on this one is you'll see that Tom is not in the title. But as I go into the actual document itself, you can see that it's found the word Tom within the document, and it started to look at other pieces of information other than just the title. So when we think of old traditional file stores, if it's not in the title, I'm stuck. If it's not where it's meant to be, I'm stuck. And really, we're in a situation when we start to think about remote working that we need to remove that stuck. We need to be able to send you out in a position where actually we're able to find what we need and we're able to work in the way that we can. So hopefully today you've seen a quick, simple way of being able to find what we're looking for. We've touched on a little bit of going into documents, being able to store them. The other element of searching is something called Smart Connect, and for some of you, I'm sure you're very familiar with Smart Connect. I'm not going to go too far into Smart Connect today for the simple reason that I know we've got another session coming up that focuses on that product, and there's some really exciting new stuff coming from that product. So I don't want to steal anyone's thunder ready for that session. Please keep your eye out for that. It will be a really good session, and some of the new features are absolutely amazing. So well worth seeing. So I'm coming up to my time limit there, so I'm going to draw this to a close. However, what I would like to do is just pass over to yourselves and take any questions that you may have. So I'm just going to flick over to the question panel here. Well, thanks, Luke. Yeah, okay. Okay. Luke doesn't like my English, but other than that, any other questions? So, okay, there's a question here about searching on the move. So yeah, I mentioned very briefly the DocuWare apps. Now, there's a few ways of addressing searching on the move. Of course, DocuWare is a mobile product, and as you've seen today, we are using a web browser to access DocuWare. So you can actually access DocuWare directly from a web browser anywhere in the world on any device, providing you have an internet connection. However, just to make that extra easy and extra simple, we do have our mobile apps. So we've got two mobile apps, the DocuWare Mobile, which is aimed more at functionality of DocuWare, being able to search for documents. So that will allow you the ability to be able to do that. However, also we've got the paper scan app that I mentioned earlier, which allows you to input information quickly and easily just from your mobile phone by being able to scan that document nice and simply. So yeah, they're the two or maybe three ways that I would recommend looking at that. If you want more information, please reach out to your local RSD, who will be very happy to give you some more information. There's a question here about connecting into ERPs. So okay, so yeah, okay, the ERP systems, absolutely great question. ERP systems are probably for most companies their central point. So it's actually the area that people go into maybe more than any other system. Maybe email would be up there to compete, but for most people, I think yeah, that's probably the biggest one. Of course, DocuWare's got lots of opportunity to do that. I think the best advice I can give is anyone who needs information on specific integration with ERP, contact your regional sales director. It may be that actually utilizing something like the Smart Connect platform would be ideal for that purpose. However, it might also be that we need some further integration, which would become a little bit specialist. So I don't want to give it a generic answer there. I think contacting your local RSD, they can get quite specific on the ERP systems that you're looking at. But yes, the quick answer for me is yes, it is very much possible. Okay, I think that's all the questions. I've seen the same one a couple of times there, but okay, I think that's all the questions. So I'm going to wrap up by thanking everyone today for your time. It's been good to speak to you all. Apologies, the PowerPoint there didn't necessarily kick into play for me, but hopefully we've got everything and everything came across. But if anyone wants a copy of those slides, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll be very happy to share those with you at any time. Guys, have a wonderful day, stay safe, and thank you very much for joining us today.